What we're going to do is we're going to take one of our white plastic straps. This is the white plastic oval piece with the two holes, one at each end. This is the piece that's going to hold the wheel pant onto the landing gear wire. What we're going to do is take that and we're going to put two of our small black wood screws that are in the kit, and we're going to just get these started into the wheel pant. We're not going to screw them all the way in. We're just going to get these started a couple of turns, and these are screwing into the plywood inside the wheel pant. We have to be sure these hit the plywood. If you get it anywhere near the right spot, as we're showing here, they'll hit the plywood. The plywood square inside is pretty large. We're going to just get them started. Then we're going to take them back out. And the reason we're going to take them back out is we're going to apply some glue. Again, this landing gear is going to be subject to a lot of bumps and bruises from rocks and long grass. What we're going to do is we're going to put epoxy glue in the slot here on the wheel pant, and we're going to put some right here on either side of the landing gear wire, so that when we screw our strap back down, it'll squeeze the glue out around it. And then we'll clean off the glue with epoxy, and I'll show you what it looks like when the operation's done. As we tighten down, the epoxy is going to squeeze out around the white plastic strap, and that's fine because we have our towel with rubbing alcohol, and we'll clean all this up. The nylon strap with the black wood screws is screwed into the wheel pant with the epoxy underneath it and around it. We've cleaned off the excess with alcohol-soaked rag. Now we can tighten up the two wheel collars that are holding the wheel in the center of the wheel pant. We'll just give those a quick turn to make sure they're tight, and that way the wheel can't move side to side in the pant. And we'll let all this cure, and when it's cured we'll have a complete wheel with wheel pant all held onto the landing gear leg firmly. And we're going to repeat all of this on the other side. Okay, so we have one more operation to do on the landing gear before it's done. This is an optional step. You certainly don't have to do this. You can also wait until you have several flights on the airplane before putting these fairings on the landing gear. They do make the landing gear look better, look more scale, but you can save them until you've beat the plane up a little bit, make sure you know how to land it, and then you can put them on then. The procedure is the same. What we're going to do is we're going to find the slot. There's a slot down the inside. We're going to take our hobby knife, being careful as always, we're going to cut the slot so that the fairing will press over the landing gear wire as shown. What we're going to do is we're going to use our epoxy glue to hold this in place. You can also use Gorilla Glue or rubber cement or goop or a variety of adhesives. We've been using the epoxy so far. We're going to keep using the epoxy on this build. What we're going to do when we glue this on is we're going to slide it down to the end so that it touches the wheel pant and leave a little gap up here at the top. That way, if we have a hard landing and the landing gear bends up here where it's designed to bend, this part of the fairing won't be pushed into the fuselage and cause any damage. So we're going to put this down at the bottom of the wire. We're going to slide it to the bottom. Again, we're using our 3M epoxy, 5-minute epoxy, 30-minute epoxy, Gorilla Glue, variety of glues will work. And we're going to put the glue in the slot, and we're going to push that onto the wire, slide it down to the wheel pant. Then we're going to put just a little bit of glue in between the fairing and the pant. And we're going to let that cure. And when that's dry, we have a completed landing gear fairing. Again, we're leaving a little bit of room in between the fuselage and the fairing because this is where the landing gear is going to be bending and we don't want the fairing to contact the fuselage. Okay, so now all of our epoxy is cured. Let's go over what we did here. We removed the covering over the slot. We put epoxy glue into the slot. We put our wire landing gear into the slot, followed by lots of epoxy glue and the ply triangle. We pushed it in there. Epoxy squirted out and we cleaned it off with rubbing alcohol. This made a few wrinkles in the fuselage, so we shrunk them out with our heat gun. Then we proceeded to install our wheel pants. We put our wheel collar on the inside, then our wheel collar on the outside. We installed the clip that holds the wheel pant onto the landing gear with epoxy around it with 2 screws. We tightened it all down. Did the same on the other side. Then we used more epoxy and we installed our landing gear fairings, leaving some room between the fairing and the landing gear. We also used epoxy glue all around the landing gear mount here below the battery tray, in the front, in the back, along the sides, because we want this to be a very strong assembly. And now that we've got this done, we do indeed have a very strong assembly. That'll take a lot of abuse from your rough field. Alright, now we can move on to other parts of the build.